There you go. He's a gamer. Look, he dances far better than us. Not to make it racially motivated off the bat, but that was to be expected. You can watch the 5th season of his show. It's titled Noir at NRATV.com. Colion Noir. Hey, right away, is that a real name or stage name?
Stage name.
Okay. He didn't even hesitate. You didn't have to think about it, did you? That's pretty convenient.
When I started, man, like there was like these websites trying to tear me down as if I was some manufactured black guy who was made up a name, and then the NRA saw me on the corner of the street selling drugs and said, "Hey, boy, come over here and say these words on this paper." Right. You know, like I was trying to hide the fact that it was a stage name. Like no one's that cool. Colion Noir.
Maybe him and Andrew WK hang out and
Andrew WK, the Illuminati.
Promote the Illuminati.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't exist.
I did get accused of being an Illuminati in one of my videos. So.
Oh, of course you did. Naturally.
I was kind of happy about that.
Yeah, I know. Every now and then we just throw it out there, and we'll throw something on Twitter like, "Hey, when's the Illuminati meeting this Tuesday?" Oh wait, delete, and then you'll get actual people like, "I knew it! I knew it!" It's like, okay.
Just one.
Tell everybody the perks are not worth it.
Yeah, exactly.
Just one frame on a video of the.
You know what? Here, let's do this. Let's give the conspiracy theorists something to go with. Oh, there you go. Illuminati symbol. There you go. That's going to be a screenshot, and there's going to be an entire 20-minute video about how we're all in the Illuminati. This got off track. Okay, so Colion, we have a bunch to talk about with this election, obviously, as a Second Amendment guy. You just recently, and we've written about this a lot at louderwithcrowder.com, and I saw a clip. I thought it was important for people to know. You were talking about Hillary Clinton's comments on the Australia gun buyback program and why that's important to know. Tell people who may not know about it, because that's most people.
Yeah, she loves playing in the word in semantic vagary, so to speak. When you hear buyback, you think, okay, yeah, good thing. You know, you have guns you want to get rid of. You want to get guns off of the street, the evil guns that keep walking around shooting people, and then you sell them back and you get money for it, and we get the guns off the street. The thing about it is there's a huge distinction between a mandatory buyback and a voluntary buyback.
Right.
The word being mandatory.
Yes. I don't even know how that's a buyback. It's basically they're taking your stuff and they toss you a couple bucks.
I mean, it's like literally, like if I saw you on the street and I robbed you and I was like, hey Steven, give up the watch, man. I'll give you $20 for it, but give up the watch, man. That's a robbery.
Right. Exactly.
That's a watch buyback.
I think my iPad's worth more than a quarter. You don't want it? You don't want it?
All right. Seriously.
Yeah.
And so for a lot of people, they get that confused because in Australia, what they don't understand is it was a mandatory buyback program. And not only was it mandatory, it's for a limited period of time. You had about a year, I believe, to sell back all the restricted guns that were prohibited now. And then after that fact, you weren't even getting paid anymore. They were like, do it now or get in trouble.
Right. Yeah.
That's a huge difference between setting up in a little local elementary school is somewhere in some neighborhood and saying, if you have guns you want to get rid of, no questions asked, and we'll give you money for it.
Right.
Come here and give us your guns.
Yeah. And
totally different.
Well, for people who don't know, some states have done that. Some counties have done that. Those voluntary gun buyback
Detroit,
programs.
I think, is one that's done it.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, because that should be on the top of Detroit's priorities list. They're walking past the UAW members stabbing a kid in the public schooling program, and they're, sell your gun, please. Yeah, well, the thing is, people don't understand that, too, with Australia, and it hasn't helped the crime. It hasn't helped the murder rate. But you made a good point that Hillary Clinton was talking about the states and then did a quick pivot to Australia. And you were talking about the fact that she used this delineation means she understands that it's mandatory, but she's hiding it from people.
Yep, absolutely, because she ended her comment by saying, yes, we should definitely look to Australia as a model of how to do this on a national level. Right. Well, you just talked about an example of it on a local level. Why do you need Australia to use as a model for doing it on a national level, but for the distinction, which is that Australia's version was mandatory?
Exactly. You would just say, why don't we look to whatever, Hartford, Connecticut on a national level? But instead you're saying, well, why don't we look to Australia? Well, why? Well, because it's a mandatory buyback.
Yeah, but she's not going to say that, though.
No, she's not going to say that. Gosh, it is tough. Well, I know to some people you're an enigma because you have more melanin in your skin in case you didn't realize you're
No, I'm Dominican.
You're Dominican, okay.
Yeah, which would actually still mean I have a lot more melanin.
Mel, you still have more melanin. That's why I didn't say black. See, and you just he's so quick to throw the racist card. But you have this out there. So a lot of black people obviously aren't conservative. It's like Trump is getting maybe 9% if he's lucky with black people. But you obviously are very educated, and you talk a lot about the Second Amendment issue. Do you think that, and you're the only person I know really doing that actively, do you feel that the Second Amendment issue is an issue, if you were to take individually, maybe would be a more strong issue with the black community than maybe the Republican platform, or do you think it's just kind of one they're apathetic about?
No, black people own guns.
Okay.
The thing about it is it's how we go about it.
Right.
Other cultures tend to feel more comfortable being more vocal about their ownership of firearms. And the reason why is because there's been this, I always say this before, the image of a black person owning a gun has been hijacked.
Right.
Because what you get is you get a pushing of this kind of gangbanger, D-boy mentality or projection that you get from the music, from mainstream media, from movies, whatever the case may be.
Right.
So that is largely the only representation you see of black men owning firearms. And so what that has done is that cultivated an environment where black people own firearms, but we just don't talk about it. It's the whole concept of, well, I'm the young black guy, so I know people are automatically going to assume I must be doing something illegal as a result, because all most people know about black people owning firearms is what they've seen through the mainstream media, so to speak. And so the image of black firearm ownership has been skewed way past.
That's a good point. I think when a lot of people picture just sort of, mommy and daddy and homeowner, fingerprint, gun safe for home protection, I haven't seen a lot. I don't know that I've ever seen a situation where that was portrayed as a black person.
You're not going to, because especially when we talk about the era where they were pushing this super predator rhetoric,
right?
That in and of itself had a big part to play in that as well. And so what you ended up finding is that most black people just won't talk about it. I did a show on my show Noir. I did an episode where I was speaking with this young guy who just recently graduated. He was about to graduate from high school, and he lived in one of the hoods here in Dallas. We were walking around the neighborhood, and I was with my camera crew. Some of them kind of looked like you two.
Yeah, very out of place in South Dallas, to say the least.
And so we went to his grandmother's house. And I was speaking with his grandmother, and she was like, "You probably don't want to walk down that street because you're gonna get shot at because y'all look like the feds." So,
even you or just them?
Well, I mean, they were just I don't know.
No. Okay, all right.
I just heed warning whenever it's given.
Yeah. Just generally, you could get shot. Period. There, just cross it off your list.
Good. Yeah. But it was interesting. She was just like, "What are y'all doing with my nephew?" And I was like, my grandson or whatever. And I was like, well, we're talking to him about the idea of the Second Amendment, firearm ownership, because he was adamantly against it. But he was very, very conscious young man, very smart, very into his culture and understanding black history and things of that nature. And I was talking to him. I was kind of talking to him and basically saying, I don't necessarily think having an anti-gun stance correlates with a lot of our history. As a community. And so when I brought that up to her, she was like, "Oh, baby," she's like, "We all own guns around here. We just don't talk about it."
That's true.
I mean, she said that verbatim.
Well, especially if it's in a bad area, because that can make you a target just because they try and steal it.
There's that also.
Yeah.
But then again, it really comes down to just basic logic. If I'm in an environment where things aren't exactly the best, I'm probably going to want a means by which to protect myself. I'm using my monitors to light.
Oh,
so
okay. I was going to say, I can barely see anymore.
But the idea of firearm ownership to me is so incredibly simple now. Right. Now, the one thing I have to be careful of is I've seen both sides of this perspective. I wasn't always this way. I didn't shoot my first gun until I was about 25, 26.
What made you do that? So were you anti-gun or just sort of, again, neutral?
I was scared of guns, leaning more towards being anti.
Okay.
And it largely due to the fact that I just didn't like the idea of somebody having the power to immediately kill me whenever they felt like they could.
Yeah.
Not realizing.
For me, it's very comforting because I work with not gay Jared, so it makes me sleep better knowing I've got that trump card. Go ahead.
Look at
He's packing right here. It's just off camera. He always carries. So, hey, listen, it's...
me, I have... There's
something there. Yeah.
They're always here.
Oh, there you go. Wait. Was that the Walther people?
No, the HKPP.
Oh, the HK. Okay, they look very similar. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they do share similar ergonomics.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay, continue. So you were afraid of guns. So what made you purchase your first firearm then?
Well, I had a friend of mine who had a gun. He hadn't shot it in several years. It randomly just was just like, "I'm going to the gun range. Do you want to go?" Real good friend of mine. And initially, my initial reaction was, "No, I don't want to go. I don't want anything to do with guns." I'm just like, eh. But at that point, I was like, I felt a little weird. I almost felt silly being scared of an inanimate object the way I was. I didn't like that idea.
Right.
And I'd gone through a trying time at that point in my life, and I'd overcome something that I think I wouldn't have been able to. And so I was kind of in this mindset now of facing fears and getting over them.
Like, I just tried oysters. Now I want a submachine gun.
Exactly.
Exactly. I know the mindset. I've had that period in my life as well.
I've never had oysters.
They're pretty gross.
They are. They look pretty gross.
They are gross. It's like snot in a seashell. Continue.
I think I'm allergic. But for some reason, when I eat seafood, I don't have a reaction. But for some reason, I think I'm allergic.
There you go. Just use that one. That's what I say about cats. I hate them. That's all it is. I don't like cats. It's like, I'm allergic. What can you do? And I move on down the trail. So, okay, so this invitation, shooting range. Then you say, I'm going to do it.
So we get to shooting range, right? And I'm terrified, dude. Like, I'm terrified. And I walk in the door, and I'm like, I don't want them to judge me. I don't, so I just go through with it. And I get to the door, and then one of the door that kind of sections off, the actual storefront and then actual shooting range open. And then I can hear the pop, pop, pop.
Right.
And I was like, oh, what did I get myself into? And I remember going up to the line. He had it was what was it? I forgot the gun. I can't believe I forgot the name of the gun. It was
Is it a
Taurus.
Oh, okay.
It was a Taurus 40 caliber, a 40 Smith & Wesson Taurus subcompact. It was a Millennium 2000 or something like that. I can't remember. Yeah. It's in my safe here, so I go grab it later. But we were there and we were shooting, and I remember very vividly. It's so vivid. I remember the first shot. Completely terrified, pulled the trigger, and it was like the world exploded around me.
Right.
It's just like, oh my gosh, I don't understand what just happened. This is terrifying. I think I'm dead, but I'm not sure. But I'm conscious, so maybe I'm still alive. And then I was like, let's do it again.
Right, yeah. And then that's what changed it? Was just that?
Yeah,
and then from there...
It sounds so cliche.
No, I think everyone needs to shoot a gun at some point. We've talked about that, where even if they don't have that moment like you did where they become fans or enthusiasts, where almost everybody does, but even if they don't, they at least have respect for the power associated with it and what is required to handle a firearm, and they'll never believe the films anymore. Like, she shot him in the leg from... No way! All it takes is one trip to the range.
It destroys your whole concept of movies
gosh.
now. Like, you can't watch them the same way you used to. Like, now I'm kind of a douchebag about it now. So anytime I watch a movie with somebody, I'm like, I have that gun. I have that one too.
Right.
I have that, and I have that one. Yeah.
You're looking for it all the time. It's like when you just bought a new car or something, and then all of a sudden you see it everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah,